Be afraid. Be very afraid.
Gosh, gushing.
I-
YouTube will ban us for gushing.
I'm gushing like a red gusher right now. This movie was amazing. We're talking about The Long Walk, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Xenomania. This movie, if you haven't seen it, you got to watch it. You got to read the book too. That's on my list. This is amazing. They hit it out of the park, and I had my doubts because the director, Francis Lawrence, he directed a lot of good stuff like Constantine, in my opinion, and I Am Legend, but a lot of it was more of the Hunger Games series. And I like, I don't know how he's going to do this, but the cinematography, the pacing, the character building, it has you hooked from start to finish, and the message is strong. Sorry, that's my soapbox.
No, it's good.
I would say it's not a really wide margin between The Long Walk and The Hunger Games. I would imagine the original Long Walk story is something that The Hunger Games borrowed from.
What John's trying to say is the Hunger Games is a bunch of derivative nonsense. You're going to find out shortly when a certain episode drops what the Hunger Games carbon copied, but I think The Long Walk was the archetype story for even that. To a degree. But when you get into Battle Royale, I'll just drop the name. When you get into Battle Royale is its own thing compared to The Long Walk. The Hunger Games is a direct copy of Battle Royale.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
It makes me mad because I read all those books and I hated the ending. She completely fumbles the ending of that series, but it was a decent read.
In Battle
I can
Royale?
proudly say I have neither. No, Hunger Games.
Oh, okay. I just seen the first film. That's about it.
I can proudly say I have not watched nor read any of the Hunger Games.
Okay. It'll live on my soul, not yours. But The Long Walk, it's grittier, and it comes from a grittier time in the author's life, too. The illustrious Richard Bachman, who we'll talk about a little bit later. Stephen King. But it's a novella. It's not a novel. It's a novella. It's very short comparatively, so it's a pretty quick read. It's like 122 pages or something.
Something like that.
Yeah, and a lot of his work is criticized for being too long or overly long, and some of his earlier stuff was very short and punchy. The Mist is also a novella.
Yep.
What else do we got? Roadwork. The Running Man was a full novel.
Was it a full novel? I thought it was a novella.
That was
I don't think it was. I think it was a novella also.
A lot of Bachman.
Stand By Me was a novella.
The Body.
The Body.
The Body.
Man of culture, I see. So was Shawshank Redemption. Rita Hayworth and the Shawshank Redemption is also a novella.
The Green Mile was a serial.
That was crazy. I remember going into the comic book store, aka D's Variety, and seeing the chapters of it out, and it was only up to a certain point, and I couldn't figure out what was happening with that. Kind of neat.
That was a cool way of doing it.
Kindle Vella, before that was a thing, on the line here. If you guys are Kindle Vella readers out there in the world, the three of you that exist.
Paperback. I'm against Kindle. Nope.
Yep. My wife loves her Paperwhite. She loves reading on Kindle, borrowing books. Well, she's a voracious reader. She's reading 50 plus books a year easy. So that's why I've slowed down really a lot. What is that one?
Frankenstein.
Oh, Frankenstein.
Yes.
You too?
Oh yeah. I got to get back into it. I'm on chapter 6. So
read it so many times.
Oh, I'm a little ahead of you.
I can't touch it. I can't touch it anymore. It's been so many times
reading or teaching.
Yeah, it's one of the. It's like a mandatory AP language book or AP Lit book. Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, because it's so deep.
You can have fun with it. Show the movie now. You don't have to show the 1995 one.
But
you can show 107 movies of Frankenstein.
Frankenstein versus the werewolf.
It's timeless. It's become part of the canon story of humanity, one of many. The Long Walk is interesting because of how visceral it is, the visceral nature of it. And they capture that in the movie very well. Without going too hard into it, the violence and overt nature of the violence is very apparent. And it's a near future dystopian world. And in the movie, they have 50 kids, I believe, that start to walk at the tip of Maine. And they didn't even give them any poutine that close to Canada, the jerks. And they just they give them their little pep talk, and the boys have all gotten to know each other a little bit, and then they start trekking south, and that's how the movie begins, which is very similar to the novel. The novel has 100 kids, and the characters, will throw this out there earlier on. There's more characters that get flushed out in the novella, but they combine a lot of them into singular characters in the movie for, I don't know, just ease of access maybe. They don't really cut anybody out 100%, but they put a bunch of people into Garrity. They put a few people into Pete. They do like things like that.
Okay.
Then they alter some, like the Stebbins character is altered.
Stebbins we have to talk about a little later on because Stebbins was majorly different. Yeah.
Yeah. But I like the alteration. I think why they had to alter him.
Okay.
So heavy spoilers ahead if you haven't seen it. Definitely recommend that. If you haven't read it, that's a different experience. So you do you. But yeah, we're gonna get into Long Walk.
But you should read it.
Definitely
Do we want to
read
start
it.
out with a game?
Yeah, sure, I have a game
Start
for you
out
guys.
with a
Of course I
game.
have a game.
What kind of game?
Of course I have a game. It's a keep or cut.
Okay. Okay.
It's a keep or a cut, and it is. I guess you guys can try to guess. It's not a very difficult guess.
Okay.
So here's movie number 1. Are we gonna keep or cut the Running Man?
How many?
The
are on
original
here?
Running
Yeah, how
Man.
many are on here?
It's 8.
8.
We have 8 total. Keep 4, cut 4.
Well, I mean, this is all.
It's all gonna be King. This is tricky. 'Cause
Yeah.
Running Man for a King movie, King adaptation, isn't necessarily top tier, John.
But 8
I've
of
only
them.
seen The Running Man twice.
I love this movie. I love this version of the Running Man.
I mean, it's great. It is great, but is it
Keepable.
do you got Shawshank Redemption in your back pocket over there? Are we doing? Is Stand By Me coming down the pipe, or even The Green Mile? That's
Shining.
3 keeps right there. The Shining 4. I can't
Yeah.
say no to any of those. So I'm gonna cut The Running Man.
Yeah, but he might be evil about this, and I'm
Probably.
gonna be honest. This is relating to a top 5 I have today, and the Running Man did not make it. I'll say it. So you know what? I'm gonna keep the Running Man because I do love the Running
'cause
Man.
you feel bad.
No, it's just a memorable
Your
movie.
kindness will be your downfall, Ryan.
What is it?
It could be. Or your cruelty could be your downfall.
Generally, that's the case.
Here's movie 2.
Oh,
Cujo.
Also cutting Cujo.
I've read the book.
It's a lot of time in a car.
You know, I'm gonna cut Cujo because I've never seen the movie, but I have read the book. The book is excellent. I've read the book though. The book is
Movie's a
amazing.
trip, man.
But I know they cut some stuff out, which is understandable because King was in a dark time when he wrote Cujo.
Yeah,
as
you can
well.
like smell the powder on the script.
Yes, you can.
I have to
And the book.
semi-censor myself today, but I think you get my point.
There was lines in the book.
Yeah.
You know,
I wouldn't doubt it. He talks about writing Cujo like it was a fever dream. Barely remembers it.
the movie had to remind him. But no, this is gonna be a cut for me too.
All right. Movie number 3.
Ooh, keep.
Ooh,
Carrie.
Wait,
Did you say
hold on. I don't know.
this is the
I don't
70s one, so that is worth it.
He's gonna load it up on the back end. Christine's next, and then he's gonna load it up on the back
How
end.
do you know? It could be thinner next. It could be the miniseries
He could
of
do
The
like the
Shining.
Langoliers or something too. He could mess us up pretty bad. All right, I'm gonna
Yeah.
keep Carrie.
It could be Maximum Overdrive.
Which I would keep that because I do like that film.
I would feel bad cutting Cujo and keeping Maximum Overdrive, but yeah, Carrie stays.
See, so
I'm keeping Carrie. It's timeless classic.
So what's the record right now, John? Hold on, because
Kearns has 1 keep and 2 cuts. You have 1 and 1.
I'm gonna take a chance and young John Travolta. Young John Travolta.
You're gonna cut the movie from the novel that started his career. You're gonna put that stain on your soul.
You cut The Running Man. Yes, I'm gonna cut Carrie.
He was a janitor.
You cut
The
The Running
He'd
Man.
already found success with the Running Man, buddy. All right. He was deep in his alcoholism.
Arnold
He had all kinds of
Schwarzenegger.
isms.
One-liners.
All kinds of isms. And
Richard
maybe even
Dawson.
All the isms.
I gotta cut Carrie though.
All right.
He did it.
Next.
Keep.
Oh, I was waiting for Kearns to cut this one, or one of you to cut this one and do worse than kill off Tim Curry.
No, God,
Well, I
no.
was just gonna say the late great Tim Curry. I could never. He's doing well
Alright.
after the stroke.
Yeah, he
Old
is.
Timmy's hanging around,
He'll be standing soon.
standing by you.
So you both have
Stand by me.
you both have 2 cuts and 2 keeps left.
That poster
I'm not
still
used-
creeps me out.
Yeah, this is a
I
rough
love
one.
the way this is setting up for you guys.
I hate this. I hate when you're happy.
I love how this is setting up. Movie number 5, The Green
Oh,
Mile.
I just watched this again the other day, and I didn't intend to watch the whole thing. I put it on to snooze to, and I watched the entire movie, and it's a 3-hour movie. It was a terrible idea.
I'll admit I've seen only bits and pieces of this film.
Oh, you gotta watch it all the way through.
But depending how his list is gonna go, I'm gonna cut The Green Mile, because if it's going the way I'm thinking, if
I
the
think
last
I
2
hate
movies,
you.
I'm fine. No,
I
you
think I've
don't.
decided that we're not friends anymore.
No, you don't feel like that. I've seen clips. I know,
Mm.
but
I-
I
I'm being
suspect
honest.
This is putting a
Honesty.
wedge between us, Ryan. For sure.
The
Dude,
wedge.
this is not a good time,
John
John Coffey. This is not a good time at all. He does the first Forrest Gump voice when he's laying on the ground with his UTI. Happens in The Green Mile. Well, I guess he uses Forrest Gump in The Green Mile. It came out after. All right. I might find a way to forget.
I think I have a feeling your hatred for him is going to be overcome by hatred for somebody else in a couple of movies, but
Yep, probably.
next one. The
Keep.
Shining.
I only have one left.
Yep.
So I'm going to have to
Yep.
cut The Shining. Because I know he's got The Shawshank Redemption as the last one. I know he does.
It might be Maximum Overdrive, though.
I think that's next.
It could be thinner.
You can never be quite sure what I'm going to come up with next, but Ryan kept The Shining and Kearns cut it. Here's the next one.
Oh,
How many more movies do we have?
one after this.
You have 2. This and the next one.
And
I might have to keep Stand By Me. It's like literally it's my childhood. This was my childhood.
what am I? 3 for 3?
You both have 3 of each.
This is rough. Because what if it is Shawshank? But then what if it's Maximum Overdrive?
I'm gonna keep Stand By Me.
You know what? I'm going on that. I'm keeping it. I do like Stand By Me. Young Kiefer Sutherland.
Yeah, I see
Group.
what's in front of me, and I'm not taking the mystery box. I'm leaving with my $400, Wayne Brady.
It's going to be
Yeah.
Maximum
All
Overdrive.
right.
No, why are you so evil? Listen to me.
Because I am.
Oh,
Yeah.
I regret everything. All right, so just so everybody knows, I would cut everything and keep this movie. Although I have to say, The Green Mile and Shawshank are like super duper, like not similar, but they're of the same fabric. They give the same vibe, right? They give the same cathartic feeling.
Yeah,
Although
yeah.
one has a redemption and a happy ending, and one has a very sad ending where they kill JC by force.
Jesus?
John Coffey.
Buddy?
But yeah, same thing in that
Jesus.
movie. Yeah, yeah, it was awesome, man. I'm
was
so
a good
mad at
one.
you too. I have 2 less friends, so viewers, message me. I'm in need of new friends. That's a good segue in because we're going to be doing a lot of King talking right now. So the major thing is talking about the Bachman books. And that's where a lot of these came from. I actually thought The Body was a Bachman book, and I was incorrect on that
It's
one.
not?
It's not. I thought it was, but it is a King.
In different seasons.
Yeah, it's in different seasons. Bachman's books, the short stories came out of magazines, I think. The novellas, I think they came out in, or at least snippets of them came out in Playboy and stuff first. I might be wrong about that, but I don't think they were in a collection as Bachman
You
at
might
first.
be right on that, because Playboy did have like actual legitimate fictional stories in the magazines.
King was published in Playboy a bunch. I don't know if he was as Bachman though. But the story with the Bachman So he had a pseudonym. He wanted to put out darker work than what he was. And I mean, he was already kind of putting out dark work. So I don't know. I guess the publishing industry was saying he had to stay right in his niche at the time, even though he was pulling in crazy money early on. And a bookstore clerk named Steve Brown discovered that Richard Bachman was Stephen King. Brown noticed similar writing styles and found copyright records at the Library of Congress that listed King as the author of one of Bachman's books. I couldn't dig up which book it was, by the way. After contacting the publishers, Brown was contacted personally by King, who suggested he write an article about his discovery to get himself some notoriety, which was awesome of King. And then King confirmed to the public that it was true. 4 novels that were written under the pseudonym of Bachman, starting with Roadwork and Rage. We'll do Roadwork first, though, because I think it came out a hair earlier than Rage. Roadwork is the story of Up, the way it should have gone. They tell a guy who's lost his family, his son and his wife, move because they're putting a highway over his house, and he arms himself and deals with his problems accordingly. And he eminent domains them.
Okay.
Which is an interesting one. And it's also it's a little weird. There's a lot more to it than just that, but that's the idea.
Was
Yeah,
there
he's like a middle
balloons?
management guy. No, that would have been better if they were filled with acid, maybe. If you're looking for like a sort of Charles Bronson-esque story by King, that's the one. Then there's Rage, which was published first as Getting It On. And that phrase comes up a lot in the short story. Rage was taken out of publication a bunch of times because
I wonder
of
why.
a particular issue that is occurring in schools. So, which we cannot explicitly name on here, lest we get ourselves shadow banned. So we won't. But they took it out of circulation. You can find it super easily. It's in the Bachman Books Omnibus, but it's also in. I used to have it in its original collection, and then it got destroyed in the flood. It probably would have been worth money right now too, actually, because it's in high demand. But there's a kid, and he's in a school, and he sort of becomes a hero. And there's even a girl who's like giving him special attention and whatnot. And that one also has an interesting ending. So if you're into that, try to get your hands on Rage. The Running Man is the third one, guys.
Yes.
Dystopian thriller. And it has a similar concept to The Long Walk, where we have this game show, which is super bloodthirsty. And people love it. And it's actually, fun fact, it takes place in the dystopian United States in the year 2025. So.
Ooh.
The world violence is rising, and Ben Richards is in the reality show. He's got to make it through. It's American Gladiators with buzzsaws. That's what I like
Frozone?
about that movie, man. Frozone's not in it. I wish he was. And then the last one is Long Walk. We're back to the start. So The
Yep.
Long Walk is the final story. So there you go. Those are the Bachman books.
So just 4.
Just
So,
4. I really thought The Regulators was one of them. I thought there was more.
It's
I did too.
based on the name floating around, you would think it's more. But I mean, funny enough, because it's King, it's one person. But
Maybe
Yeah.
that's just the novellas, because I could have sworn there were novels. Yeah, it did. No. I was
Yeah,
wrong. I was wrong. The Regulators is, Blaze is,
Okay.
Thinner is.
okay,
Then Rage,
Yeah, I
Long
thought
Walk,
Thinner
Roadwork, and The
was.
Running Man. So it's a good thing that you brought that up, because it's been bugging me too that the quick thing of research I did pulled up just the novellas. That makes sense then.
those are probably the heavy hitters, like the
And
more
then he wrote
popular.
Desperation as King, which is the same characters and cast as The Regulators, but a different story. So if you get Desperation and Regulators, I hated The Regulators personally.
You think he got permission from Bachman to use his characters?
You just tap into his brain. Well, maybe because Dark Tower, you flip, and then your pseudo person, you turn into your pseudo person on the other side. So maybe Bachman is the Territories version of Stephen King. Nerd stuff, people. High
Dark
level.
Tower connection. I knew it.
And so here's another interesting thing. Long Walk. Do you think there's any Dark Tower connections in the Long Walk?
There's always, I feel, a Dark Tower connection because as it's unfolding, watching Welcome to Derry and the whole lore, everything's connected, and it's even through his books, the whole connection with Pennywise and
Interesting.
Shawshank, The Green
This is
Mile, The Shine.
Up here on the right, I have a map that's all the clear Dark Tower connections. Sometimes it's as simple as one character.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if Reddit gives us anything really quickly. I don't think we're gonna get much. Not really. Yeah, some people think the dark figure might be Walter or Flag, Randall Flag, but no. No. I think any connection to the tower is going to be very flimsy.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So,
Good fan
let's
fiction.
get back to the plot. What's going on with this film, John?
Well, as we've mentioned, the world has fallen apart. It's 19 years after a catastrophic war that has sort of devastated the American economy and psyche. And the thing that gets them through is the walk. These kids are heroes.
Do you think we would all pay-per-view that? Would that be like, I guess only the miserable idiocracy would be left over after something like that?
I mean, are we that far off?
That's a fair point.
Hopefully.
I mean, we're what, 8 months away from a UFC card at the White House?
President Camacho.
Yeah.
You know, we're inching towards a world. We watch all these different versions of people beating one another up. And listen, I'm guilty too. I love some of that stuff, but
Yeah, but
we're inching that way.
boxing is an art form.
Yeah,
Boxing is
martial
art.
arts and stuff. I get what
Yeah.
he's saying, but I get also what he's saying is that our bloodlust is growing as alongside it. Like, yeah, that makes sense.
I don't even think our
We haven't reached
bloodlust
purge
has
level
grown. I
yet,
think
though.
it's always there. I think it's now more free to come out.
You know what the biggest social experiment is right now is arc raiders, I think. Because you get to see like the true nature of humanity each time you run through there. There's some runs where everybody's super duper friendly, congenial. They're helping each other out. Things are great. And there are some where there's just people who are just they're being jerks just for the sake of it. They're not even bettering their situation by doing it.
It's the Wild
They're
West.
Yeah, it's bad. Like some people are just sociopaths.
Well, that's why I can't play.
Oh, that's a rough one. You like get tightness in the chest playing that game. It makes you mad.
If I play that like I play most games that give you that sort of free will to be however you want to be.
My buddy's a savage on it. We go in there, one of his favorite things to say, because people don't mic up all the time. They're muted. So he goes, silence is violence. Announce yourself friendly. And then if they don't speak, like in a second, he just lays them out. Silence is violence. He's funny.
I like that line, though. It's true in that game because everyone's gunning for each other from my understanding. You're either in a group.
Yeah.
No.
But like not really. Your all your stuff is completely separate from having to hurt one another. That's what makes it the experiment. All of hurting one another is completely voluntary. You don't have to.
Just to get the better scavenging?
Well, that's the thing is you can do it to get better stuff off of people, or you can do it because you're a sadist and you like to grief people. You can do all these things. But yeah, it's an interesting thing. So like watching something like that and seeing how people behave, I think John's probably got a point. Maybe we're not nearly as far away from this as I'd like us to be for the long walk.
I mean, maybe just one catastrophic event.
Yeah. So when we get into the beginning of it, we get a little bit of backstory from Garrity. He's only got mom at home and he doesn't have much else going for him and he's just making his way. The other characters sort of start getting flushed out as alongside him. They form a little pseudo alliance, but more just a friendship, because you really can't align with each other too well, except for to encourage each other not to stop walking and carry each other while you're sleeping, which Pete does for Garrity. And his name's Ryan, by the way.
Yes, it is.
Isn't that nice?
Oh no, Raymond.
It's Raymond. I said that.
Raymond.
So it's Ray Garrity. That's
Ray
right.
Garrity.
He looks up at the notes. He goes, "Wait a second."
I was like, "Wait a minute." We also have to mention they have to keep a constant pace of 3 miles or more. Anything below that, they get 1 warning, a second warning, which they can redeem after walking an hour, 2 hours, and I think third warning is the final one, and then ticket.
And then boom. Yeah. So you do get 3 official warnings, and technically you get your ticket on your
4th warning.
Yeah.
Or if you run off.
Yeah, it's an instant ticket.
Or as we will learn, if you go for any of the soldiers' weapons.
Which that was visceral.
That was awesome. I was like, I was waiting for it. And I was like, it's gonna come. It's gonna come. And I
It's
was like,
coming.
here it is.
Mhm.
It's like, yes. He went out like a
It's
boss. That's all
pretty
I'm gonna
crazy. So
say.
one of the characters jumps to one of the soldiers. He gets a good
Mhm.
kill on him, and then he gets
Yeah.
murked. And they let him suffer to make an example out of him too, which is kind of crazy.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, that's established with a couple of people
Mhm.
that
But
they gut shot you. If you violate one of the rules, you get gut
Yep.
shot as an example.
yeah,
let you bleed a little longer. Um,
Mhm.
poor Hank.
so as we go, things start out kind of nice. They don't really nail you down with something that makes your skin crawl for about 36, 37 minutes, and then how's our first kid catch his ticket? Do you remember?
Charlie Horse.
Charlie Horse, man, that's
Yeah.
so brutal, and that is
Or-
in the
Yes.
book.
Or nervous Curly.
I felt
Curly ate it,
so
and
bad.
Curly was the kid, so they established that early on, no quarter. And in the
Yeah, and then
novel,
Curly lied about his age.
yep,
Yep.
in the novella, it's 13 on and up. 13 between 13 and 18 actually, so specifically kids. In this, it's much more ambiguous, and the idea that Curly is there at 16-ish is like an anomaly. So they
Mhm.
they pulled back a bit on that.
So in the book, he's like
Mhm.
10.
13, he's like a baby.
Oh, okay. Like, I
And he
mean,
might
that
have
doesn't
lied.
help.
He's the young.
Yeah, he might have even lied about his age to be 13 too, right, John?
Yeah, he could have. Yeah.
'Cause
I think they allude to
Yeah.
that as well.
Yeah, I think they do too. And I mean, the Curly character right off the bat, like he's the first one, and for a long time, the only one they actually really introduced to get his ticket.
Yes.
Mm,
They start you with a little emotional hit. Like you don't know him enough that it's really a big deal yet, but it's sort of like, yeah, we are going to kill the kids you met.
yeah, which
Yeah.
is wild. By the way,
I mean,
when if you
Yeah.
don't know what you're getting yourself into with this, like I did, and John did, it's
Mhm.
and you knew what the premise was, but if you just bought a movie ticket and went in, I don't know if you'd be prepared for that.
it's a shock, but it's a good shock because they don't do it in a nasty way in film. Like, it's not, it's like very
Mhm.
slow and cordial, and like they welcome you in slowly. It's not like bam right in your face, which works for this film. Again, the pacing
Mhm.
and the build up, like
Yeah.
it kind of introduces like, okay, this is what's gonna happen, and then when it happens first to poor Curly, I mean, that it's rough because it just goes
Yeah.
right through. But it's like, okay, this is serious, and it even leads to the kid having the seizure, where they're like, give him a chance, and nope, he's done.
Mhm.
It just
They wanted to
Mhm.
welcome you in, let you get a few paces beyond the threshold before they slam the door behind you, and it's effective.
Mhm. Yeah. And I mean, you almost lose Barkovich right from the beginning
Yeah,
too,
it's true.
yeah,
because he gets those 3 quick warnings tying his
he
shoe.
had a stone in his shoe.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
rock.
yeah.
And I mean, that's the right call though. Get that rock out of there because if you've ever done a long walk, a long hike, and you have any hot spots or
Mhm.
anything like that, you have to address them or you're going to be in for a world of hurt.
Yep.
Yep.
And getting into the levels
Yeah.
of mileage here, guys, I mean, getting to the end of the movie, we're at over 200, right? Or are we getting close to? I think we got over 200.
300.
We go over 3.
Wow.
Yeah. I think the last one is about 331. It's in 331 to 334.
Nope, you're right. 331.
Can
331
you
miles.
imagine walking 331 miles without stopping?
I loved it though, like how they show it in the corner, like the mileage and all that. It keeps you going as an audience member
Yeah.
because you're like, oh, they're doing this, you know?
Yeah, good cinematic choices. I don't know what to say.
No, you're
The
right.
visual stuff is like good choices.
The cinematography was beautiful too. The ruralness that was shown. It was just
Mm.
How, how many miles could you do?
You wouldn't know unless you were driving behind me with a rifle, man.
warning.
The
Warning.
human psyche is it capable of propelling you much further than you'd ever thought you could go.
Now, 10 hours. I think I'd max at
I
10
think
hours.
you could get through a day. You're selling yourself short, buddy.
I don't know. I don't
You
think
got
so.
canteen, you got rations, you know.
18?
Canteen.
18?
Canteen.
At 18, I could probably do a couple days.
Yeah.
Now, no. I'd be lucky if I got to 10 hours. Something would cramp, something would sprain.
Yeah. They do something interesting. You guys are flushing out a good point here, that the difference in age and stuff, but also the difference in athleticism. There are two very clear-cut studs that stand out earlier, and that's Stebbins and Petey.
Yes.
Petey says he's 170. He doesn't look like he's got a shred of body fat on him, which might not work in your favor. Garrity's a little chunky, and
Yes.
that might work in your favor when you're walking, because your body does fuel itself on fat. I don't know, VO2 walk, like that kind of pace. So I don't know which is the right way to go on that one, but Stebbins and Petey are like, okay, these are the guys to beat. And Stebbins in the novel, is he jacked? I don't remember. I thought he was like skinny.
Yeah, I don't remember him being particularly jacked. No.
Was he still the rabbit
I mean,
in the novel?
Yes.
Okay.
Right? Yeah, he's the major's son in the novel.
Okay.
I thought they were going to do that with Garrity, by the way.
I thought so too. It was leading.
I really like what they did with Garrity and Garrity's father. And like, it's levels of Fahrenheit 451, but it's that obligation in that society that I think you have to show and expose your loved ones to real art and not let that kind of government take it away from
100%.
V for Vendetta, all those movies that go very again anti-authoritarian, they leaned into that with The Long Walk. And this wasn't flushed out by King. King left all of this somewhat ambiguous. The society is bad, and they do this with kids, and then he focuses on the thing they do. In the movie, they lean into it more, and they give Garrity a much clearer motive by doing that too.
Yes.
In the novel, his father, does he die or does he leave? I forget.
He went to get milk.
He might be in that kind of situation. I'm trying to remember.
I can't remember for sure.
Garrity's dad. Let's find out.
But while you're looking at that, I don't think we've brought up the prize. The winner gets a ton of money and a single wish. And through the course of the walk, you start to learn what some of these wishes are. And, you get Hank wishing for the naked ladies, 10. And then 10 naked ladies, and then this sort of realization that he doesn't want to pay for his own naked ladies, but 10 thought that somebody is going to be paying for his naked ladies, and that sort of shatters that dream. And you have the author, whose name I just lost, the guy who wants to write a book
Ian
about
Lehman.
it.
Larson? Yep.
Was it Larson?
Yep.
I feel like I wrote something else somewhere. But, so he's writing a book, and you get Pete and his, I want to wish for 2 winners. I want this. Pete has, it's so weird when you look at it. Pete's background, when he finally talks about how he got the scar and everything that led up to it, for Pete to be the hopeful one is so wild, that to have that kind of attitude. I think that helps lead to the end with Ray's thought process.
100%. I agree with that. It does, because first off, David Jonsson he's awesome. He's awesome in the role as Peter. His acting chops. Oh yeah, I mean, seeing him from Role Models and his growth to now.
Forgot about that.
Just seeing his growth, it's amazing, and he does a great job. Like, you feel his character is genuine, and along the whole time with Garrity, with that scene you mentioned how Peter helps him walk when he starts passing out and he can't do the incline, he chews out Peter right beforehand. He has his outburst, and Peter is a good friend. He's a good person, and he helps him up because he's like, at the end of it, we're just all friends. We're all in the same goal. Like,
well, yeah, I mean, and that's one of the things that really comes out when Pete finally tells his story. He's never had a friend, really. He hasn't had people in his life that care about him, and now he's got the other guys to some extent, but he and Ray have bonded so much that, that becomes his will.
So interesting that they do that, how they bleed it over. I didn't expect the ending at all, the way they did that. By the way, just to circle back to Garrity's dad, he gets offed the same way, not by the major, just by soldiers, because he's drunkenly talking smack. So he's more of a miserable guy that just gets killed by shooting off his mouth.
I like this version better. I like the freedom
A
fighter.
lot of people do, and some people don't. I see good reasons for both the hatred and the acceptance.
Yeah, I can understand. It's like George Clooney's Batman.
But it's
I'm gonna choose not to
George
engage.
Clooney's Batman. I
Nipples, man.
the bat nipples.
Bat nipples. But Ray really becomes the heart and soul of this group. Even when he's falling apart, he's still like a lot of the reason for some of these guys. Like when Hank is packing it in, it's Ray that goes to try to keep him going. Whenever they're sort of falling apart, it's Ray. Ray is the one that and then Pete picks it up too, and they just sort of hold people
They
together.
galvanize everybody to the point where the group has to tell them to stop saving people. They're like, guys, there's only one winner. Cut it out.
Yeah.
So let's flush out Stebbins quickly. Stebbins is the actual villain in the novella. There's nobody else who's as evil as Stebbins. He talks people into dying. So they split the character in two in the film. And Stebbins, they made more of Markovich. Stebbins is like that evil side, but Stebbins never did it like Markovich. He did it in more of an insidious, calculated way, and quietly celebrated each person who buys their ticket, which was what got Garrity. That's what really made Garrity hate him. And at the end, Garrity says, I'm going to walk you into the ground. Like, one of his big motivators is destroying Stebbins and making sure that Stebbins catches it. And then afterward, he didn't care. That's kind of how the novella also ends. He doesn't seem to, nothing seems to matter to him after Stebbins is done, which is wild too. In the movie, totally different character.
I was going to say it's definitely different because I didn't have a lot of hatred for Stebbins. I was like, okay, he's like that military guy in the background. Like, you know, he's doing it for whatever reasons. But Barkovich he's definitely a jerk, especially after he kills Ronald.
Well, I think the thing with Barkovich is he's a lot like Pete without the ability to socialize and make friends.
Okay.
He doesn't know how to have friends. He's never had friends. He's just sort of this abrasive dude who's pushed people away, whether intentionally or unintentionally. And that comes out in his end. And, you know, that's one of the things they do really well with this too, is obviously you're going to have empathy for Pete and Ray and those guys. But in the end, if you're looking for it, you can find it for Barkovich, and you can really find it for Stebbins.
Yeah. I mean, Stebbins was probably going to win it all until he got sick. I mean, that's just, he even mentions that in the movie.
And then it's really revealed. Yeah, he gets sick for the first time in 10 years. But like, you know, as he's nearing the end and he, you know, his wish comes out and, you know, he's one of the Major's bastard children.
There's 15 of us.
Yeah. And his wish was just to be welcomed into the Major's home. Is like that's
wholesome.
Wild
it's wild. Like you take this guy that you know you're sort of at best neutral to in the movie, and in the book you really don't like, and you give him this story that's just like heartbreaking in the end.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of this has to do with I mean, we're going back to Frankenstein with dads and sons and whatnot, but it's about fostering the next generation. The story is a big time metaphor for what we're doing to the kids. We, the boomers, let's just lay it out there. It's your fault. If you're listening and you're a boomer, you're the problem. Specifically you.
Especially you.
Listen, if you're a boomer and you're listening, congratulations on figuring out the technology.
Yeah, also great. Yeah. Coming from the only generation that knows how to change their own oil and create a PDF. Once we go, you guys are doomed. Well, the kids are doomed. We got to teach them stuff. But I digress. So Stebbins should have had an easier time of it. He most assuredly does not. Things progress. I mean, we could go into like each little niche thing that occurs, but it's probably better to go towards the end where it's Garrity and Pete, and they're both best friends. They're the last men standing, which is very different than Garrity walking down Stebbins at the end. And
Yeah.
they're both on their last leg.
And Ray has now revealed finally his wish. His wish is to get a carbine and kill the Major.
Which is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
It's fair.
And it's sort of this difference they set up between these two characters you really come to like a lot in Pete and Ray. Pete is holding on to this hope that he can, with his wish, he can do something to change society. And Ray's wish is just darkness. It's just this singular focus. I want revenge.
And there's two roads to go down at the end. And I think that which one that is chosen matters. And unfortunately, I feel like Petey chooses the wrong road. But
I feel like, though, Ray is pushed to that decision after seeing his mom. And he feels remorse for what he's done, and he's apologizing to her. And I feel like he already knows at that time what he's going to do. But Pete, he decides ahead of time that he's going to do it, and it's like the using of bonding and bondmanship and friendship that really it's a strong message. I didn't tear up on this one like I did with Frankenstein or Pan's Labyrinth, but I was at a close at this one because it's like it's strong though. It's strong.
it sits differently.
Second time from basically the time he sees his mom on, it was really emotional for me. Like the first time I'm just watching and absorbing. The second time knowing what's coming hit much harder.
This is definitely a rewatch, 100%.
Well, the fact that she arrived there was such a dice roll too, for her to be standing there. And I don't know if she knows his plan. That's the other thing.
No,
I don't think she does. I think she, this is what he chose to do. And by chose, I mean, they set up very early also that this is a lottery. You enter and, 50 are chosen a year, but it's set up as involuntarily voluntary.
Right, yes.
You don't have to sign up, but everybody signs up.
Dystopian future, 1984.
A little Shirley Jackson. And I think that he even mentions that Shirley Jackson was a big part of the inspiration for a few of these stories.
Definitely. The lottery especially.
When you're as well read as King, too, that's kind of, he's cast a wide net when it comes from borrowing.
Yes.
So, or being inspired anyway. So Petey at the end, Garrity catches it, and Petey decides to fulfill Garrity's wish. And then at the end, they do sort of lean into the novella's ending where he runs off into the darkness. Do you think that he is taken out by the army, or do you think that he's free to go? What do you think happens?
Taken out. I feel like the darkness.
I mean, I think he's taken out. I mean, I think the crowds are afterwards. The crowds are vanished. There's no soldiers. It's just him on an empty street.
Yeah.
And
I think you're right.
His afterlife is a continuous walk alone.
Well, that's the thing, is that there's something there too that's showing him turning and just continuing to walk like he didn't finish. And that might be based on the decision. There's not enough to go on to make an educated guess, so I'm not going to bother. But there's a lot of different ways you can go with it. But I think definitively, though, the fact that his work is not done is most certainly being alluded to there. And then that's how she ends, guys.
And and you get Ray's last words to Pete as, "You can see the light, I can't." And it's sort of like they've transferred goals through the course of this.
Which sucks, by the way, for Pete.
Yes, it does.
Pete's goal was he was going to be good if there is indeed a wish granted. That's also ambiguous.
You assume that they're honest in the money and the wish granting, but there's nothing to indicate that
he gave him the gun. He made the wish.
I mean,
he
true.
fulfilled the wish.
True.
So I think they're that honest.
True. But I mean, is that also, all right, he's asking for something we have to do right now. Are we doing this because we have to continue the illusion? Or are we doing this because we really grant the wish?
That's true. You could definitely make the case for the fact that they're just faking it till they make it for the cameras. Because you got the Big Brother
Mhm.
vibe going in this too. I don't remember in the novella if the cameras are talked about in the same way. They might talk about television cameras with crowds, but I don't think they have them mounted on vehicles.
Yeah, no, I don't think but I mean, that's also not something when the novella was
Right.
written that was so prevalent.
Right.
Very Death Race inspired, I feel.
It's interesting, but
On that.
I just I don't know. I wish that they didn't do that thing where Ray's wish was then transferred over to like what are they trying to get at with destroying Petey? Because that's Ray's him fulfilling Ray's wish destroys him, and it's like what's the message there? I can't figure it out.
The power of their friendship, for
Yep.
one. And I think it's the value that Pete puts in Ray, that that's him. That's the person. And at that point, I don't think he's even avenging for Ray. I think he's avenging Ray.
Yeah.
I think it's avenging all of the people he came to like who died along the way.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's just the random guy who had to shit so badly that,
That's wild.
you know,
I felt so bad.
or the guy that snaps and strips and, you know, or Arthur and the internal hemorrhaging, and then Stebbins, who's, you know, in a lot of ways maybe as tragic as any of them. You know, I think watching what happens through the course of the walk also really changes Pete.
I mean, Larson, the kid who's writing the book, he walks on his broken ankle. And you can hear him screaming and stuff. I mean, that
Mhm.
whole buildup. I mean, Ray was the final straw. Yeah,
Yeah.
he was. It makes sense. And the whole darkness thing, though, I feel like Ray says the light because Peter was the good. Peter's gone into
Mhm.
the darkness now. And that could be his thing is he's going to walk
It's
in the dark.
swallowed up.
Yeah.
It gets swallowed up. That might just be the metaphor. Him
Mhm.
doing the evil thing is him getting swallowed and absorbed into whatever nightmarish thing this is. He is now part of it.
The Dark
It's
Tower.
eating the good. It's eating the good. But yeah, I mean, it gives you a lot to think about. I definitely enjoyed that aspect of it. Comparing it to things like the Del Toro movies and stuff is tricky. John did it too because he watched them close together. It's just a different type of
Yeah.
thinking about it.
I watched them on consecutive days.
Rough. Yeah.
And so I didn't really have the full opportunity to absorb the long walk.
Right. Then you
Because it was immediately overwhelmed by trying to absorb Frankenstein and everything that is.
You know, it would be nice if we had that problem in the future where it's, oh my God, two amazing films. Well, one great, one amazing, as I'd argue.
Mhm.
Right back to back. Woof, I'm just so full of thinking about how wonderful these movies are. When was the
Mhm.
last time that happened to you?
1995. Actually,
Yeah,
94.
probably.
Dumb and Dumber, Ace Ventura, The Mask.
Nice. Nice. All in a row. Uh, I was left thinking about Cameron Diaz in The Mask. I think I was like 11. I was like, something's happening.
I was 4 when I watched it. Yep,
You were 4
I was 4.
years old. I'm
I
that
was
much older than you,
just 4.
so I must have been younger than 11. But I digress. All right, guys. So let's put this to bed. Let's punch its ticket. The long walk is done.
Definitely a 5 out of
The
5.
long walk is
I'm
done.
gonna put it out
Definitely.
there.
I love it.
Yeah,
4.25.
for
This was this
I mean-
is I mean I might not get quite to 5 with it, but it's 4.5,
I'll
4.75.
accept that. 4.25. The Man Who Cut the Running Man.
Yeah, I did it. I
Horrendous.
do it again. I cut him off for the
Horrendous.
Shawshank Redemption and for the Nookie, so you can get that cookie.
Frozone.
But by the way, the mile per hour in the novella is also longer. I forgot to bring that up earlier, just as we end. So the kids had to walk faster in the book than they do in the movie. They slowed it down in the movie.
How much faster? Like 6, 7?
No, I think it's 4. It's not that much. It's 3 in the movie.
Yes. 3 in the movie.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, 4 miles an hour without stopping in the novella, 3 in the movie. So that was another minor change that I felt important enough to interrupt our ending
No,
to bring up.
no, that's important because they made it doable. But again, Hollywood magic, lessen the
4 isn't
kids.
terrible, but 4 is like 3 miles an hour. 4 miles an hour that's cooking, man.
Yeah, but
You're
those kids would
moving.
have been,
That
they would have been flying.
that difference is a lot in over a long period of time. Like in an hour, it doesn't feel like it's that big.
Yeah, it's a 33% increase over 3 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Would get
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. When you get to 10 hours and you've walked 30 miles versus 40 miles, it starts to feel like a huge difference.
Ba-da-ba-da-ba-ba. All right, let's do some top 5s, gentlemen.
All right.
Well, one thing I wanted to throw in, one of the visuals that I remember from the novella that I liked that they kept in, like some of them are just like the logic elements, like how do you go to the bathroom?
Mhm.
And then they show it. And it's like those were the things that always like, oh, he turns around and walks backwards while he pees, or he just stops and does it as quickly as possible.
He didn't do it as
Like
quickly.
those,
They used I think they used like the
well,
sides of
Arthur
cars and
does.
stuff too
Yeah. Yeah.
to get like down.
Arthur
Yeah,
does.
that was wild.
Continuous.
Mhm.
Just, yeah. I wasn't eating
Yeah.
oatmeal at that time. Thank God.
Yucky.
But top 5.
Ooh, yay.
Top 5 relates to actually John's Keep It or Cut It. Because my top 5 is top 5 Stephen King adaptations. And there was only one you were missing. And that's going to be my top 5.
Maximum Overdrive?
No, it's not Maximum Overdrive. It's my favorite. It's, well, top
Gerald's
5.
Game.
No. 1979's Salem's Lot.
Yeah.
Starring David Soul as Ben Mears, directed by Toby Hooper. I think it's a really good adaptation. After reading the book, it's very close. The HBO one is only part 1 of it, but the miniseries captures the whole thing. The whole story is Ben Mears, played by David Soul, returns to his hometown in Jerusalem's Lot to write a novel because of the horrors he suffered there, but discovers that everyone is turning into vampires.
I don't know if you just heard my wife fake hacking up something in the other room. She went, like she was coughing up a hairball right at the end of your sentence, and then she started to maniacally laugh when she realized she probably just got caught on the audio.
Does she not like Salem's
And
Lot?
you did it on
Blasphemy.
purpose.
Blasphemy.
So you've made it, darling. You've made it. There's also googly eye from Daniel that's been stuck on me since last night that I'm not allowed to take off.
The googly eye?
The googly eye. I have another one on my leg. It's hard to get that up this high. There it is.
The all-seeing Kearns.
All right. Woo, leg. All right, so we got Gerald's Game was number 5, everybody. Don't listen to what he said. What's your next one? What's 4?
It was Salem's Lot. And number 4, this character has his eyes everywhere, and that's Stephen King's It, the original 1990 miniseries starring Tim Curry.
God rest his soul.
No, he's still alive. Don't even. Blasphemy. But everyone knows about the story of It. It's been remade into a 2-part film. We have an HBO series, which is amazing. I won't spoil that because that is definitely something to watch. But it all started with, well, it started with a novel, and it led to Tim Curry taking a big role.
Big role.
I mean, at the time, he was optioned to be the Joker, but because he got sick, he couldn't finish the recordings, so they got Mark Hamill. It's a different take because his Joker is very much like Pennywise, so it gives it a darker edge. I like it, but I mean, Mark Hamill is Mark Hamill, and this is number 3, which is a little bit of a redemption for me at least.
Shawshank Redemption.
It's Shawshank Redemption. Just the story of Andy Dufresne, who is sentenced to life in Shawshank for the murders of his wife and her lover, despite his claims of innocence, and over the follow 2 decades, befriends a fellow prisoner, contraband smuggler, Ellis Red Redding, and becomes instrumental in a money laundering operation led by the prison warden, Samuel Norton. And it stars William Sadler, Clancy Brown, Gil Bellows, James Whitmore, and of course Tim Robbins and Morgan Freeman, as well as Bob Gunnan. Just a phenomenal film. So
Yeah, and Sam Norton went on to author the software for Norton's antivirus after the film, after he got caught, and then went to prison and mended his ways. So that's in Shawshank Redemption 2.
okay,
Norton redeemed. Yeah.
okay. I'm curious to see what your sequel for this one is, and that's Stand By Me, as we mentioned earlier, aka The Body. It's just a phenomenal film, and it's what Stranger Things is like somewhat based on. The idea of like,
It's got a lot of that.
oh god, the four kids going on an adventure. You know, Kiefer Sutherland being the bad guy. It's just so good and emotional.
Yeah. Yeah, it's that's another interesting one, like lamenting the death of childhood sort of vibe. And it Stood By Me would be what I would say the sequel to Stand By Me is, because
What's
they're all dead.
Laid by
Laid-
Yeah,
me.
Laid By Me. Nice. That's it.
Oh,
Oh,
Well, yeah, a particular scene in it is laid by me.
exactly.
yes, it is. It's
That
kind of
is, people love to bring that up on Twitter. Ever since King politicized himself and decided to get the frothing mouth Twitterites on him, they call him out on that constantly, all the time. And I'm like, yeah, it was a choice, man.
Mhm.
That was a choice. You didn't have to write that in.
does it even work for the book? Because like
Not really.
I was
I
gonna
don't. I
say
think it's a miss. All things considered, I think it's a miss. You could have accomplished what he was trying to do many other ways.
And it's not like he needed filler.
Right. That book
yeah,
is like death. If you drop that on your foot, you're breaking something.
it's like this thick. I mean, Cujo isn't as thick, and he put filler in that, which was not necessary, in my opinion, with the boyfriend. But I digress. But you want to know what doesn't miss?
What doesn't miss?
My number one, and that's The Shining. Stanley Kubrick's The Shining.
I
And I'm
cut
gonna.
that movie today.
You did too. So yeah,
You got me
double,
twice. Double
double the
burned.
points. Double the points.
Man,
Double the
Can't believe I cut The
Yeah,
Shining.
your cut list is as good as your
Yep,
keep list.
it's so bad. It was a massacre today, John. I blame you. I blame Ryan for no reason. That's Ryan's fault. I just blame him.
You don't know. I've been trying to get you guys on these for the whole time. I've been desperate to get you guys to cut a movie that you're going to regret.
Well, you
cutting.
got it today. You got me to cut my favorite movie. Arguably, it's neck and neck with The Princess Bride as my favorite film of all time.
Oh, can I make a game up? I'm definitely gonna put The Princess
I
Bride
knew
on
I
there.
shouldn't have kept Stand By Me. I knew you had Shawshank left. I knew it. And I
It
did. I
could
fell right into your trap.
it could have been Maximum Overdrive.
I changed that too because the order just wasn't evil enough the way I originally had it.
You are a devious bastard. I love it though. That's what makes these fun because they're never boring.
The Shining's an amazing film. I want to hear what you have though. That's
Yeah, let's hit it.
that's like
All right. I connected my top 5 to an actor in this movie.
An actor.
And I went with, in honor of the Major, played by Mark Hamill, I went with top 5 horror movies featuring an actor from Star Wars A New Hope.
Ooh,
okay.
A New Hope specifically is a good choice. Nice
Episode
twist.
4, kids. The original Star Wars.
Yes, episode 4. The first Star Wars. I know there's prequels. This is the first one. So my number 5 stars David Prowse, who is the man inside the Vader suit. And it is Frankenstein and the Monster from Hell.
Interesting
All
title.
And it's exactly what you think it is. It's the Frankenstein story with Peter Cushing as Victor Frankenstein. And it's the last Hammer horror film to feature Frankenstein.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
So my number 4 is probably the best known on this list, I would think. Well, maybe not. But it's a Harrison Ford one. And it's What Lies Beneath.
Oh, that does definitely qualify as a horror movie and a very not underrated, but definitely under celebrated and under talked about movie. What Lies Beneath hits, man. Hits every time.
Yeah. He's Norman Spencer, who's a husband whose wife is haunted by the ghost of a woman in their new lake home. But not everything's quite as it appears to be. You get Michelle Pfeiffer in this, and it's directed by Robert Zemeckis. And one thing I think I've learned about Harrison Ford, he may be the actor who has been in the most movies nominated for Best Picture without winning an award for himself.
Yeah, true.
By count, I'm up to at least 7.
You might get
or
it for
8.
Red Hulk. Fingers crossed, buddy.
No.
I think he's going to
Blasphemy.
get a different award for Red Hulk. I think there's a golden raspberry in his future for that.
He wouldn't care. When they asked him about taking on the role, he goes, "That's what the money's for." It was pretty funny.
Yeah, exactly. I love
Yeah, he's
Harrison
great in
Ford. He may
interviews.
be one of my favorite people in
When
the
he was
world.
pretending to forget Ryan Gosling's name all the time when they were doing the Blade Runner promos, that was peak.
Yeah.
The question.
Yeah, there's so many cool stories about him.
The question he was asked at San Diego Comic-Con was, "Is your plan to remake every film you've been in?" And he was like, "You're goddamn right." And he just gave the guy a cold stare. I was like, "All right, we can accept this."
Remake every movie or do a sequel for every movie you ever made and kill the character.
Yes.
Because he's working on that too.
Indy's still alive.
I don't know. If you watch the end of that last one, that's questionable.
You think?
That's questionable.
At least we got Mads Mikkelsen as a villain.
Number 3, we're going to go to Princess Leia. Carrie Fisher. In her cameo in Scream 3.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, she's Bianca, a film archivist who talks about almost being cast as Princess Leia. Scream 3 is just, it's, more Ghostface threatening the regular cast of characters. You get a bunch of cameos. You get the Jay and Silent Bob cameo.
Yeah.
This is one of the lesser films in this franchise, I would
agree
say.
with you. It is. But the cameo's cool.
Yeah, the cameos are fun.
Yeah, they bring it back with the 4th one.
Yeah. Kind of. I mean, listen, that franchise is never as good as it is in the first one, but it's never as bad as people think it gets.
I really enjoyed the second one with Timothy Olyphant.
I mean, it's fine, but it's not the first one. Like, the first one does something that wasn't being done, and then after that, it's all right. It's doing the same thing.
Sure.
It's kind of doing what they mocked in the first one.
Yeah.
I mean, there's like 10 stabs. We got to catch up with that, man.
The Oliphant, by the way, and that something getaway. What is it? Special Getaway or something? It's the twist movie where the perfect getaway. I think he goes away with his wife, and then there's another couple, and there's a murderous occurrence, and you have to figure out who the bad guys are. And Oliphant's in it, and he crushes it in that too. He plays like this creepy Marine guy who carries a knife on the plane.
Timothy Olyphant is generally good in things.
I'll say this, unpopular opinion: Hitman is a good movie with him. Just saying.
Okay. Even in Alien Earth, when he's looking like John Bon Jovi playing a character, he's good.
They massacred my boy.
Was he wild in the streets?
It's not the best look for him. It's not the best look for John Bon Jovi either.
Bowie Bon Jovi. It's like a weird thing. It's a really weird thing.
He went down in a blaze of glory.
It was rough. He needs to redeem himself immediately before he gets too old.
Speaking of number 2s, my number 2 is the voice of Vader, James Earl Jones, as Fry in Blood Tide. Cool. So Fry is an adventurer and treasure hunter who drunkenly releases a sea monster that forces the locals to sacrifice a virgin to it.
Okay.
He's trying to cash in on some like island paradise lost gold, and we get a little octopus-like monster going in there. It's got a nice arrow release. Highly recommend.
Cool. I love a Kraken.
I love a nice Kraken.
He's the Kraken.
And my number 1 is really a person more than a movie, but I did narrow it down to a movie. Number 1 is Peter Cushing.
Yes.
Okay.
He's Grand Moff Tarkin in A New Hope. He's in so many great horror movies, a lot of the Hammer films, and then you get the even more wonderful, and it really kind of ties into The Long Walk as I think about it, the wonderful collaborations he does with his lifelong friends and Christopher Lee and Vincent Price. And if you get a chance, go and Google those friendships and how wonderful that is. Like, it's a whole different view into the lives of these 3 guys beyond just scary. For the sake of a list, I'll pick the one I watched most recently, which is Madhouse. It's really a Price movie more than a Peter Cushing movie. Vincent Price is Paul Toombs, sort of a fading horror actor. He suffers a breakdown on the set of his new movie, and then the cast and the crew start dying in the same way as their characters do. And obviously, Toombs is a very good suspect. And
Is
that's
Christopher
number
Lee
one.
in that?
No, that's not one with all three.
Okay. Because there is a clip of Vincent Price and Christopher Lee. It's a movie, and they're talking about their characters' death scene. So I thought that would have been cool if Peter
Mhm.
Cushing's in that too. I was like, all right.
That one's Peter Cushing and Vincent Price. That might be. They did quite a few to get all three. I think Lee and Cushing did way more together than all three. Cool.
Such gems.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. Well, that concludes our episode on The Long Walk. So I'm going to let you know. You better keep on trekking.
Have a 3-mile walk after this and enjoy. Keep it at
Walk a little further.
Well, have it at 3 miles per hour. There we go.
Walk a little further with us. See ya.
Be very afraid.